The time is ripe for Africa's greatest generation, and the onus is upon that slice of the population that is young, well-educated, and global citizens by virtue of the World Wide Web. Pastor Muriithi of Mavuno Church says this group can borrow from the famed generation that came of age in the United States during the Great Depression and after World War II.
And I think it's going to change Africa in my generation. And I challenge our people as they create their companies. Don't just think of Buru where you live or where your shop is. Start thinking, how can I create something that will go across Africa and actually change people's lives? There's so much potential in you, and you're wasting it running after a deal, hustling.
In his 1998 book, The Greatest Generation, broadcast journalist Tom Brocco argued that these men and women fought not for fame and recognition, but because it was the right thing to do.
Because of that generation, this country became a superpower. And I keep saying, if we don't do it, who will? I think we are Africa's greatest generation. And the amazing thing is when I go to Uganda, I go to Kampala, I go to Dar es Salaam, I go to Lusaka, I find that same generation. People who think like me, who are educated like me, who have the same aspirations I do.
If you had the opportunity to read the story on Kenyans living by the creed of greed last week, then here's a formula for change as envisioned by Mavuno Church.
We've talked about some of the dangers that keep us from being people who create. We're short-term thinkers. We want it and we want it now. We talked about the fact that we don't create systems. We create this side hustle, but it will die with you. So Kamau and Sons will never become Nakumat, you know? It just dies when Kamau dies. And then the third thing we're talking about is mediocrity. That we've never learned to aspire to excellence. That we always say, how good is good enough? As opposed to saying, how good is good, how good must I be to make a difference for eternity? And if we don't have that idea about our products, about the things that we put our hands on, then we'll never make a difference.
So, what is the collective Kenyan dream?
I don't know if you've heard of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's one spouse, 2 kids, 3-bedroom house, 4-wheel drive, 5-acre plot in Runda. This is what we live for. Right? It's like when I get there, I've arrived. And I keep telling guys, that is such a small dream. You know, we need to be the greatest generation. If we don't plow, if we don't sow back into this country, then our kids will always be begging in the West. But if we were to take the risk and actually begin to build our country, begin to build others, pull other people up as opposed to pushing them down, I believe, and I actually have this strong conviction, that a time will come when Kenya will be a donor country, that people will be coming here for solutions from other countries, that the IMF will be getting loans from us, not the other way around. Nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves.
Pastor Muriithi acknowledges Kenya has begun laying the foundation for a great nation, and the new constitution is a good place to start.
We have to come up with national values. And I think it would be a bit fanciful to think we can come up with Christian national values. I think that would be a bit of a fallacy right now, because we're not a Christian country, and neither should we be. I think what we should look at is say, what are the things that we all aspire to? What are our national values that we all aspire to? And I think there's some moral foundations that any Muslim, any Hindu, any non-religious person will be able to say, these are things we agree on. I think our national anthem is a great place to start.
The clarion call to one and all is,
you have a role to play. And for me, this is actually the theory behind Mavuno Church. It says, look, there is that 10%. What if you can get them to think different? Different enough that they stop caring about themselves and just thinking about themselves and start thinking about the rest of the nation. And if we can get our peers to start thinking different, start thinking above yourself. You're created for more than yourself. Filling your pocket is too small a goal for yourself. God created you for a much bigger purpose. If you can start to ask yourself what that is and begin to make a difference in your sphere, I think the ripple effects will change this nation. I think we've talked about the UN coming to save us. It's not going to happen. The World Bank has been here for years. It's not going to happen. The government we can see is not going to be saved. The middle class, this apathetic group, this group that is so self-centered, if we can stop thinking about ourselves for a minute and begin to think about the good of this country, I think this country has huge hope and will actually become a light to the rest of this continent.